Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anthea and today I'm going to be going through my January reading wrap up. Sorry there was a fly there, that's why I swatted in case that looked weird. Yeah, I actually recorded this video a while back, but then I watched it when I was editing and I didn't like it, so we're going to do this again. And hopefully this is going to go to plan, but we can only hope. So fingers crossed, everything goes well. Without further ado, let's get straight into the books. So the books that I read 5 books in Jan. I gave them all at least 4 stars and they were great. It was a really good start to the year. I read some really great books and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get straight into it. So the first book that I read, this one I actually started in December, but then I finished it in Jan, and that is The Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Last Hours trilogy and is part of the Cassandra Clare's world. Well, it is, but it's also part of the Shadowhunter world that she has created. And this one I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really great start to the trilogy. It was it explained what Shadowhunter is. So if you've not read her other series before, you can technically go into her series by reading this one as your first book into the Shadowhunter series. But I would recommend you read the Infernal Devices before starting this book. The reason being is because the story follows on from the Infernal Devices and you meet the same characters as well, but like 20 years later. So you meet those characters, but you also, now in this one, we are concentrating on the kids, the children of those previous characters. So it would kind of ruin, I guess, it would ruin the experience if you were to kind of read the Last Hours first and then go into the Infernal Devices. So I would suggest going into Infernal Devices first before reading the Last Hours. But I digress. This book is, like I said, part of the Shadowhunter world. It is the Last Hours trilogy, the first book in the Last Hour trilogy, and we follow Cordelia, who is a Shadowhunter. She has been trained to be a Shadowhunter from a very young age, and her family move into London to be with the kind of other Shadowhunters within the London Institute. And in this setting, we begin with the knowledge that demons that usually occur, and that's why Shadowhunters are around. They are there to kill demons, but the number of demons have been very low recently, in that the Shadowhunters, they train, but they haven't really had much kind of on-site real life experiences of killing demons because they don't really see them often, which is very odd. It's a very strange thing, until one day all these demons just come out from nowhere, basically. And that's at the very kind of beginning of the book. So we then, from there, we just follow all these main characters along the journey to discover, what's going on, why have all these demons come out from nowhere, and there's a lot of kind of action in that scene. But yeah, I would say that to begin with, it was quite hard to remember who all those different characters were, because Cassandra Clare, she is, she's very well known to have lots of characters in her books, and this is no different. So we have a bunch of characters that we are following, so sometimes it can get a bit confusing trying to remember who all these characters are, but obviously the further in that you are in the story, the more familiar you are with all the different characters, so it doesn't really become a problem later down the line. I was going to show you the cat, that's why the camera has moved slightly, but he's gone now. So in this kind of story, it's less action-packed than you would expect it to be. There are still some actions in it, but there's more kind of mystery and trying to figure out what's going on with the Shadowhunter world. So yeah, I mean, if you're, don't expect too much action in the first book, definitely. Expect a lot of angst, I would say, romance. That's a big part of the story in the trilogy. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading from Cordelia's perspective because she is like one of the main characters. We follow her at the beginning and throughout most of the story, and she is a very strong character. She can look after herself, she can look after herself. She doesn't need someone to be there to protect her. She can do all that shit, basically. So I really like her as a character, and I really like that she's able to take care of herself, which is really nice to see. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I forgot to mention it's a fantasy. Should have mentioned that at the beginning. It's a fantasy book. So that is, yeah, The Chain of Gold. The next book that I finished is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is a epic fantasy book. It is part of the Stormlight Archives. It is within the Cosmere world, and it's the second book of the Stormlight Archives, and I gave this a 5 stars. It's amazing. I absolutely love Brandon Sanderson's work. I love his storytelling, his characters, the politics that come with the story as well. The magic system is so easy to follow with this series, so I really like that. And his writing is very easy. Did I mention that it's very easy to understand? Maybe I did, but it's very easy to understand. So there's nothing in there that is like confusing in terms of the way that he writes, and I like that. I personally really like that. I'm not the smartest, so when it comes to like reading fantasy, I need a book to kind of tell me exactly what's going on, which his ones do, in my opinion. And I just really enjoyed it. And since this one is the second book in his series, I can't really say too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything. But in this world, we are basically at war between the Pashendis and the Alethi people. And this war came about because someone from the Pashendi side had assassinated the king of the Alethi side. So this war has been going on for like 5 years now at this point. And in this situation, we're following 3 main characters, and we just basically follow them in their journey through this war in their different positions, I guess, within the war, within the politics of it as well, within the schemes, the schemings of this book. Oh yeah, I love it so much. Like I said, gave it 5 stars. Amazing, can't wait to start the next book, and that is Words of Radiance. So the next book that I read is The Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the last hours, and yeah, obviously I really enjoyed the first one, so I went in and purchased the second one, and I read that in January as well. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars as well, I think. Let me just double check. Oh, that's me. So yes, so I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and again, really enjoyed it. More of the mystery unravels in this book. We are still continuing on with, just continuing on with the story. And again, following Cordelia, there's more angst, there's more romance, there's more just talk to each other moments. And yeah, what can I say? It's Cassandra Clare. It's Cassandra Clare with her romance and her angst and stuff. So we have that going on for us. I enjoyed it. Oh, the ending though. The ending, a little bit annoying. I'll say that. The ending was a little bit annoying, but there we go. So that is, I didn't really explain this book very well, but that's Chain of Iron for you. It's great. It's a good book. I enjoyed it. Once I finished my 3rd fantasy of the month, I kind of needed a little bit of a break. I don't want to burn myself out with fantasy. So I read Days at the Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagisawa. This is a contemporary fiction, literary fiction, one of those. It's fiction, and it was good. I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a really nice break to read that book in between like the fantasies that I tend to really just lean towards. So I personally really enjoyed it. I have read some reviews online where people just didn't like it at all, but personally I thought it was really good. It's a short book, it's not too long, and it follows a young woman at the beginning of the story who had just recently broken up with her boyfriend, and she is in a very low mood for an extended period of time. And one day she gets a call from her uncle who, asks her, hey, I need some help at my bookshop. Why don't you come and visit me, and you can stay at the bookshop, but whilst you're here, maybe you can help out in the mornings, to help out at the bookshop basically. So she kind of she didn't really want to do it, but she reluctantly agrees to help her uncle out. And yeah, she just basically goes to the bookshop and she meets all these different people, different customers. And at first she's a bit agitated, annoyed. She's like, why am I even here? This is such a waste of time. What's the point? No one even comes to the store, that kind of stuff. But then as the days go on, the weeks goes on, she kind of discovers her love for reading again, and that spark then is like the catalyst for her to being more of herself and getting out of that negative headspace that she was in previously. So it's really nice to see that. It was really nice to see that kind of very natural growth in her. And it feels like a very simple book, but it's a lovely read. In my opinion, I really enjoyed reading it. I really enjoyed seeing all the different characters as well that pop up. It is a very simple slice of life book. So if you're looking for that type of read, I highly suggest this book. Like I said, especially if you are like me, you really enjoy one type of genre, but you want a bit of something different to kind of add in there just to mix up a little bit, and you don't want anything too serious, you don't want anything too deep, nothing political, nothing that requires brain power basically. I would highly suggest this book, and that is Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. So the final book that I read in January was a surprise to me that I actually picked this up, and this is Daisy Hates and the Great Undoing. Now, the reason why this was a surprise that I actually picked it up is because I didn't really enjoy the first 3, especially 1 and 3, because I didn't really like the characters. The first one, I don't like Magnolia Parks basically. I'm not a big fan of her. She is, in my opinion, self-centered. She's materialistic. She almost, in my opinion, just thinks about herself. I don't know what other people think, but to me it just sounds like that. And just the rich elite kind of environment just seems so toxic. Oh, and the toxic relationship that she has with BJ, don't even get me started. So the fact that I picked up this book, I know this one obviously follows Daisy Hates, and I quite like her. I think she's okay. Yeah, I wasn't too much of a fan to pick up this book, but I thought, you know what, why not? Let's just give it a go. And I actually quite enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star, and the thing is, I think what it is that I really like the author's writing. Jessica Hastings, I actually, it's really easy to digest reading her books. It's really again, don't really need brain power. It's just like watching a drama unfold in your head. It's like watching a TV series just playing out when you're reading the book, which is actually quite fun, and it's a nice time. It's a good time. But in this book, we like I mentioned, we followed Daisy Hates. Her family, her family, her brother is part of the gang in London, a gang lord, and the main kind of thing that they do is that they would steal very expensive paintings and artwork and sell it basically. That's kind of primarily what their job is, and Daisy is part of that environment, and In this story, we follow her and her brother, Julian, and their relationships with the people around them, the people that they have feelings for, and we kind of unravel that and how their circumstances causes a lot of disruption within those relationships, even though they don't want it to be. Obviously they don't want it to be in the way, but it is, because of the line of work that Julian does, and obviously that affects Stacey as well, being like a family member of that kind of environment and that place. So we follow them in that story, and other characters do come up. So you see them as well in this book. And like I said, I just really enjoyed the writing itself and the story itself. I personally enjoyed it much more than Magnolia Parks' storyline. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I admit. And what's more, I think I might read the 5th one that came out in Feb. So yeah, those are the books. Those are the 5 books I read in January. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. You know, let me know as well in the comments. Have you read these books? Did you enjoy them? Are you thinking of reading any of these books? If not, let me know why. Or if you are, let me know why. If you have read it and you've got thoughts about it, let me know what they are. I'll love to know. But thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Later.